Good morning. Glad to have everybody here. Good morning, Carol. Yes, it was an interesting weekend. Extremes, exactly, is what it was. Being the self, not being the self. Um, we had healing school this weekend. And I really want to talk about last evening, what Douglas and I experienced. There's a little chapel that we go to every once in a while if we have the free time on a Sunday night. And it's always been very the same. Same lady plays the piano, same people sit up front, the same lady attempts to say her leadership, and the pews are there, and they've always been there. And there's people in the pews, of course. And when we walked in last night, you were hit with a different energy. And certainly a portrait of Jesus hangs in the center on the back wall. Same Jesus. The energy was, I would say, somewhat the same, but there was a difference. And we went to sit, usually we sit up front, but we were maybe 5 minutes late from it starting. And we sat in a pew that it was like you were going to go through the pew into the floor. So we looked at each other and we moved until we found a spot that we felt strong enough to hold us, which is, number one, not what we had thought about this small location that's very few people, but yet we love going there and believe it or not, getting re-energized in the simplicity of what the truth really is. So we moved, and then it began. The lady who was a guest speaker was a reverend from somewhere in St. Petersburg, totally confused. We couldn't even follow it. And it wasn't happening to be our experience that we were used to of just allowing God to wash through us and over us and renew us. And I'm certainly not sitting in a place that I want to be judgmental about it. I'm wondering if any of you ever have this kind of experience. It's almost like, wow, did we move a dimension? Did we come here? The walls were the same. The piano was there, but there was no piano player. And the lady wasn't there, who always had a great difficulty getting through the whole experience of the night. We only saw one person we know. Usually, they're all elderly, ill in some way, but it was different. And then, so I sit and focused on the image of Jesus and found that similarity in me. So, good morning, Anik and Cavell and Lauren. And soon, and it was two men that were in charge. They shared responsibilities, and actually two men we don't ever remember seeing there. So it was interesting. On my way out, I said something to the one lady I did recognize. Did everything get changed? And her answer was no. The piano player's not here, but that's the only difference. I said, well, we don't recognize anyone other than you. And she said it changes more every week. And I will say again, we are not every week goers. It's about an hour from where we live. So, you know me, I had to ponder on the experience to understand why today, why in this moment, does something that meant which may be hard for you to understand, so much to me, not be existent on that level where I wanted the familiarity, that not strange or having to have it be something. So I'll throw the thoughts out to any of you who have something like that that's occurred for you. Good morning, Marby. Because I do believe the time we're in now is about educating ourselves about how we're feeling, educating ourselves about how we do feel about certain things, and then what are you doing when you find something really isn't what you thought it was? And my husband's opinion is we will not go back. It didn't bring him what he was looking for. And I can say, I would say the same, but I do want to go back. I want to go back and discover what I didn't see or didn't feel. And there was always this one elderly gentleman who would just be so thrilled to see that I was there and come, and other people. And is that what I missed? I don't know. To contemplate it, it's more like a void that I'm attempting to define or discover, or even at this point, remember. What was it all about? Certainly, it was a place. Douglas was trained in, I'm going to remember now, it's an organization that people who are psychics or mediums are usually trained. And it's old school. So somehow our old school memory, and it has changed over the years, but this was a drastic shift. And to hear these gentlemen speak that they were holding the Christmas party, we're like, yeah, of course, we've never been to it. But it still felt, oh, that's not who I would assume is holding the Christmas party. So I'm just still thinking about it today. And perhaps this is what is happening all over the world, that there's a shift, a change that's happening, and our heart, our feet aren't sure they're walking us into the right place. I don't know. I could still feel the love. And when we talked about it, once I started talking, Doug could agree, but he still doesn't want to make it. He says it's too long of a drive to also have something else to challenge, to not understand. And we usually love singing there, and there was no one who really knew what they were singing. It was very disheartening. So let's talk about places that just aren't the same anymore. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Certainly we just came back from our trip of seeing grandchildren that had grown, 20 inches, who had different perspectives about life we've never heard. My daughter I haven't seen in a very long time, and it took maybe a day for us to become who we've always been, but in new surroundings. So maybe it's just me and my issue. I don't know. The thing I'm sure is it's all about our growth. And in our healing school this weekend, God was the issue we talked about. And it was very interesting because I usually prepare my healing school agenda. And literally God came in and instructed on what to do. And the most fascinating one was when it came time, he all of a sudden, because I always have my computer on, a gentleman who was on the internet showed up, had a video, show them this, introduce him to this gentleman. Because what everybody is desiring is defined within themselves, that essence of God inside that speaks and has that gentle love. And
unknown caller.
Sorry. Oh my. It's not stopping. Hold on. Guess you can't stop it once it starts. So, never someone I've heard of, seen, but was very profound. And its name was His Place. So, yeah, that's it, His Place. And then the question came, well, how do I get there? I go, I don't know, I didn't get there. It came up on the screen. But so it's been an interesting weekend for me about God. And I've personally known God since I was a child. And I would go up to the lake and he would sit with me and Jesus would come and take me up in a balloon. I know it sounds a little weird, but my vision and all that was very open. But I do understand the desire, the need. Is need the right word? Or wanting. Wanting's not a good word either. But to find that within the self. And being that it was there for me, it's been more of a challenge to try to help people know how to get there. So we'll see. I'll let you know what happens. But everyone seemed very drawn to it. And then after that weekend, we go and have this experience at our sacred space that we went to, which is weird a little bit. I would agree. It's an older setting. Wasn't there. At least in our hearts, it wasn't there. And I didn't want to have to do anything to make it different. I wanted to experience how it was. Not many people do I know that I have that, whatever I would call it, that instead of hearing what support they need, I see them for of all of it. So my all of it last night fell apart. And that structure, which I'm sure to you doesn't sound like much, but the characters are different. The one thing that was solid was Jesus' painting on the wall. And Douglas agreed he had seen that also. It was still there. So, I don't know. I guess I'll be contemplating on it for a while. So, Marby, good morning. Probably didn't think God was what we were going to talk about today. You know, one thing we talked about is how people saw God. We talked about this in class. I wonder how each of you have a perception about God. The time is coming. So, do you have an image of Moses, Jesus? What is it? Maybe you might want to search inside yourself as you call God in. And do you see him? Or is it a feeling? I don't know. But we are having our world yesterday was a strange day. You know, my grandson, pronounced he didn't want to be spiritual. And this is the same 5-year-old who, when I held classes at home, he'd want to sit on the edge and listen. And now he'd ask, why? Why would you say that? Why do you? And he said, is that what you believe? And he says, what does that word mean? So I was questioned to the nth by my grandson when he was young, and now he's 14. Doesn't want to be spiritual. But that's after not seeing me for 6 years. So who to know where we're all at and what it's all about? Because I think the one thing we'll always have, always, is the emptiness that has nothing. And I guess by our own perceptions and experiences, we fill it up. I guess we have to ask ourselves is what are we filling it up with? Are we filling it up with truth or illusions or questions or whatever's coming by your way? We were attempting to put ourselves into a situation that's always been there. And all of a sudden, it wasn't. And I cannot even give you the image of the face of the woman who usually speaks. It wasn't about her. It wasn't about the lady that played the piano. For instance, one time I was really missing my mother. And I think I've told you, my mother and I used to sing Que Sera together. And as we hung up the laundry, I walked in that place and she's playing it on the piano, which let me know my mother was there. And it's that type of place. It's where those kind of things out of the blue happened and no one would know why. It's a powerful place. And as we move and have more of a consciousness that has an awareness, perhaps that's why now, at least for Doug and I, we're having to think, well, wow, what happened? Did it happen to them? Did it happen to us? And what was it about? Oh, and someone just cleaned off my window, gave me the chills up my spine. So, who knows? Food for thought. So Lauren says, my sister and I wanted to go to church to listen to Christmas carols and the organ, but she couldn't get ready on time. And Dr. T.M. sends his love. Yes, I'm usually not betwixt about something. You know, I usually go with the flow. But I had been 2 days without sleep with the whole God thing this weekend. It was a lot of powerful energy. And my physical body was, and I was awake and didn't feel tired or any of those things. It was just, I was there. I was on. The energy was on, I guess I should say. So here we are, Monday morning, and I'm still contemplating what happened this weekend. So I apologize if that's something that's necessary. Another interesting thing happened is for some of you who've been coming here, you know Doug has the spiritual gate that you can sit in with 12 orbs around you. And it takes you on a travel, it's Andromedan, to 6,000 light years away to where your true self and brings it back. Now, there are clear orbs. There are blue orbs, which I have a large one up here at my desk, and there's tiny ones. So a lot of individuals have bought the tiny blue ones, and they can keep that level in their bed or whatever. And that's a slow healing. So when we were on our journey, we picked up more orbs and some of the pieces of the gate that we no longer had. So now he has the entire gate. We still don't have anywhere to put it up. But he found this treasure, which is one of the destiny orbs, which we didn't know. We only had it as a necklace. See, I have trouble getting things. Let me make it right and then do this. There you go. Dominus cervix, that's a name. But it's a solid white one, which is going to help me with my destiny. It was so profound, neither of us knew we already had one. I guess we had gotten a shipment, and because the lady disappeared. There was a lady in charge, a lady we all have bought our gates from, and she's gone. So we have nothing to assume but that she went to Andromeda through the gate. We'd seen the image she had at one time of a Andromedan coming through the gate, but that gate was on the wall. We always put our gate on the floor. That's how you're supposed to do it. So maybe when you put it on the wall, something else happens. Or maybe they'd come out with they would always put new geometries in the center where the orb sat. So today I'm in, who knows? I don't know. But here's another tool we found, which are treasured, and this is a DNA wand. So you sit in the gate with this, and your DNA shifts. So Doug left this in here on my desk. You can see this crystal part in here is like waves, wave-looking energy. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe my destiny shifted, including the space and time. And see now, here our energy's changing because I'm all about what's going on instead of my normal, usually solid self. I have felt Jesus and smelt him. In regards to God, I have felt the love of God fill my being. Yes, wonderful. But there is a place of home in the energy I speak of. And maybe that is it for you, and that's wonderful. But we are always growing, and there's always more. And I guess last night had me reach to another depth where I haven't been. And Dr. TM says he's becoming creative in every moment. Each moment is exactly what he says. Yes, I understand the gift of that. So there's no longer wasted time, but I happen to be someone that believes no time is wasted. That's a different person's thought process. That if you are alive and wishing to make yourself be experienced and present, then no matter what the thought is, and what that is doing is bringing me a lot of different possibilities for what we experienced last night. So I will probably talk it over with Douglas to see if those things that just came to me were true for him. Because there is no doubt our world is changing. People are changing. How we think, how we move, how we exist, how we breathe. I know I had to, for myself, I had to go through a whole nother level of a deeper breathing of greater oxygen. I don't know if any of you have had that issue. But since I've done that, there's just a different level of expansion. That the human that was breathing the other way couldn't allow all this other experience in. I don't know. And I've always heard I don't know is the place to be. Well, here I am. Where are you? More light is coming. I agree. Yes, always. It's always more. And, the first way I saw God was as the burning bush light. And certainly over years that has shifted. and become. And I guess it's still shifting after now I've been in his energy for this whole weekend. Who knows? So, did I waste all our time? Perhaps, almost. So, I'm going to encourage you to, like we're going to do right now, we're going to call Mother and Father God down into your heart. And let's think about it. What do you normally do when we do that? Now, let it become like little cells that energize and have more light, and let it help expand through you, quickening those core 4 cells of what's made you who you are. And as you do that for a while, there'll be a day when all of a sudden you have to look at what moreness has done for you, and how you think, and how you breathe, and how you eat, and how you move, life in general. And it's quite interesting to observe. I have a whole different set of clothing that has been there, but now I choose to wear. Something like who we were before wouldn't, but now I do. It's crazy, and I don't mean to be crazy for you. I'm still me somewhere in there. And yeah, but we're all on the same journey. And this little ball is going to help me have an awareness of who I, at some point, long time ago, became. And it's interesting, isn't it? We always think of it as what's coming, instead of what's coming is what was. Yeah, it's a circle. So do not forget your tube of light. You want this, who is you, to connect to your higher self. And this is your I am presence. One of my last comments to everyone yesterday is, remember, you have to tap into that higher self first. It's the mediator between you and God. And interesting, but there's a lot of issues that come up when people start working with their higher self. And it's the empowerment that lets you have an even more expansive understanding with God. Like there's that person who wants us to go to God. Well, but you miss so many little pieces of how to be and how to think and how to do if you don't first have your higher self. My higher self happened to be Joshua. Yes, he's the one who walked people into the promised land. After Moses, they walked for 40 years. So I hate to call what his time and I together have been, but it's been a training, not only about life and how things happen and how choices make your world and about yourself, but also how to be in humility and be humble and be in the energy of the highest height and still discover you. So I hope I'm not getting too deep or technical for you today, but it's time to be not be just, who I am. You want to discover who you are. You want to, Dr. TM, you're an interesting soul. 2,000 years ago in India studied together. Yes, I did have a wondrous teacher who told me all about different lifetimes, and I got killed many times being thrown under a stagecoach, and you tell me what the benefit of that must have been. Douglas and I have been together many times, and we've frozen different lifetimes and trying to make it in the cold weather. And boy, we watched those shows and we just laughed to think, yeah, we were trying that too. Never made it. Who's to know what's going to come into the future? I don't know. But once you find a fulfillment in your heart, it will not go away. And you'll know you'll always be protected by God no matter where you go and how your feet land, even if you have duck feet. So we saw a little Buddha in Thailand. He was 8 years old. He had just become a Buddha because a monk by the name of the Black Monkey passed and gave his gifts to 4 little boys. And the gift I received from the Buddha, that little Buddha that day, was to be able to heal with my heart. And he would go to the hospitals, and just by being in the room with him, people would be healed. So I believe that's what's emerging deep within me from that day. You know, my dad could make things fly. I never asked and don't know how to do that. But one of the little Buddhas got the gift of flying. I think that would be fun, but we'll see what's in store for each of us all as we journey. And our experience of the last 6,000 years comes before us. So, yes, the little Buddha, his eyes, you could get lost in them. And his heart had no end. So we were counseled to be careful, not to get lost in him, because that being has that capability. So, like when we ask for the Lord Gautama Buddha to bring his protective blue flame out and around us, we have definite instructions for that Buddha and what we wish to have done. Because they have no wall. They have nothing that, trying to find that word again. They have no structure that separates them. They're in no separation. So when we give instructions, we give them specifically. So what we're asking is what happens, you see. I don't know if you think you're loving my jokes and funniness, or I don't know, Dr. TM, but thank you. I'll accept that. Yeah. And the people there are funny. They were like, still, oh, glad you're back. And I'm thinking, how do you know I'm back? We didn't remember them. What we had experienced there was nothing other than the image of Jesus. And maybe that's all that was meant to be there. When he spoke to me and let me know that he can be in a million places at 1 second. And I did know that. But yeah, it was just very, very different. So, let me see here. No, these things that occur, you're not dreaming them. They're real. And part of the purpose is for you to grow. You know? So if I talk to Einstein, the great crystal skull, when I spoke to him recently, his caretaker told me they were giants above heaven. So I showed him my skull, which is from him, and that actually she's taken us above heaven, but we have never went to where there are giants. So he suggested that we do that. I said, I will think about it. I don't know if there's a part of us that's ready to go up to all the beautifully happy, peaceful people, to beyond that, to where the originators of life and experience are giants. So that was something new I learned that day. So I think all these kind of situations are going to become more and more as we're becoming more prepared inside of ourselves to maintain a balance, a rootedness. And I always tell people, rooting is your greatest gift. Because if you're rooted and you can hear, then you're way ahead of the game. So my root has always been strong. I was raised on a farm and certainly interacted with all these beings from the time I was young. So I can understand where a lot of people like yourselves, it's a new thing. You're starting from a new place and have to know that it's safe to reach down deep into the earth and root your consciousness. So that's your beginning place for you, is to start to root, and so you can have a greater expansion of what truly is real in your life and be safe with it. So as you work with your protection, the tube of light, there are destroyer angels that will always come and relieve you from anything that's bothering you. And we are all in this together. We may be different in a lot of ways, but yet we all have a singular understanding that we are a part of God. We are part of the whole. And that's not ever going to change. So let me see here. I was just seeing if I can see somewhere if everyone's gone or if anybody's still here. I'm a little out there this weekend. Like I said, a lot's happened. And but I'll be back tomorrow and with messages, and I'll have another 24 hours to ground, even deeper. And yes, thank you, Marby. Today, I'm going to have a couple clients, but that'll bring me back into working mode, as this isn't starting to do. Maybe give me different understandings. And yet maybe it's good for you to know that everybody is growing, not just you. No matter who we are and what we know and how we live, there's always so much more. And Dr. TM, love you too, and thank you for being with us, and all of you who are willing to come and today meet perhaps an unsettled me. Yeah, unsettled maybe is a good word. We were thrown at, but then I think about it, it's a little house somewhere, it's an hour away, and what was in it, some was the same, but the people were different. Maybe that's what's the different piece, the people, other than the one lady we knew. And now we've been going there for like 6 years, so that was quite a much love to you, Anik. Well, very welcome, Cavell. You have a great day. All of you have a great day. Life and wonder and being able to question and hear yourself answer is all a great thing. You don't want to not have that, because that would be boring. We're all on this wondrous trip, and may we all still gather and get together to know what we're all getting and discovering. And God's always there, even though sometimes we wonder how it is. He is always there. And the more you grow and allow him to come down into your heart, the more you will feel that and experience that truth. So I'm going to be quiet, and I'll come back tomorrow, probably my good old self. And we'll see what messages are in store for all of you tomorrow. So many blessings, much love, and thank you for your kindness. Many blessings.